Are you a perfectionist? And is perfectionism a gift, or is it a fast and enduring track to unhappiness? Let's find out, dive right in. Let me give you an example of a perfectionist like me trying to produce a video like this. This is not at all as perfect as I want it to be, but at some time, and that's a problem about perfectionism, if you keep putting it off and off and off because you want to do it better and better and it's still not perfect, then the problem is that you never get things done. I thought a lot about light, about the microphone, about the camera, about the program that I used. Sometimes you just have to start. So how would we define a perfectionist? Well, first of all, of course, very simple. Perfectionists want to have it perfectly done. The question is, who decides what is perfect? Your 70% is probably someone else's 100%. We set our standards way too high, and that is exhausting, and it's not very productive. We often do think in terms of black and white or all or nothing. So if you are saying, I want to do this, maybe YouTube video or YouTube channel, and then it's not going to be perfect, then it's a disaster, or it's just not worthy, or I'm just not going to publish this. Another trait of a perfectionist is that we're super self-critical. We think about what other people think of us. We fear judgment, another characteristic. We fear failure, and we want to avoid that. And that is a place where you don't find much creativity. Now, as you feel this fear of judgment, what also happens is that because we're so stressed, we start procrastinating. We don't feel good about our work anymore because we think it's not good enough, it's not done yet. So for me, for example, today I thought, okay, now the sunlight is not there anymore, now then the light doesn't look natural anymore. Now screw it. Like, that's actually black and white or all or nothing. And that is also a way of feeling stressed and unhappy, and that's not necessary. And then you start procrastinating, and as you put it off, it's like a devil's circle. You feel further and further stress. Makes you procrastinate more, and you don't get things done as a perfectionist. Now, what if you now also have a type A personality trait? Then this is a road to disaster. If you're a personality type A, you are someone who has a lot of things that they want to get done, a lot of ambition and goals and ideas, and you want to do multiple things at the same time. So you want to do many things, you want to do them well, and you're impatient, then all of that combined can be very, very stressful. You feel that type A people are usually often, tense. You feel that maybe your back hurts. Type A personality is also very self-involved. You think about yourself, you think about your goals, you think about everything you want to do, and you compare that with where you're at now. And then maybe you see that gap, and that stresses you. And then you have that inner dialogue. If you're stressed, your brain, the forebrain, shuts down. You cannot rationalize anymore, you cannot analyze anymore, you cannot anticipate consequences of your behavior in an objective manner anymore. You're emotional, you're driven by your emotions. And that's not very helpful either. You may say, it doesn't sound nice, tell me now what to do about this. But let me add one more possible challenge. Let's think you are in a position at work where you have a lot of responsibility as a leader, or for example as an entrepreneur. It's not just that you have responsibility, you want to do everything perfectly, and you can do potentially everything. That, again, not a good way to succeed. So now we talk a bit about how you can deal with perfectionism and how you can utilize it to actually see the benefit of it and be perfectly imperfect. My first advice, turn in your work. Finish your project, product, whatever it is that you want to do perfectly. My colleague once told me, Christine, a finished PhD is a good PhD. I really like that advice, and you can apply that to any kind of project. Of course, you don't just want to get anything out there, but you will not. As a perfectionist, you are assured that you will not be one of those people that you probably despise or that you're jealous of maybe as well, that just get things out there and may not seem so professional. You will make sure it already looks good. As I said, your 70% is already there 100%. You can come up with a beta version, and if it's a product, for example, you can sell it cheaper or just, ask some people what they think first. And getting feedback is super important. So first of all, it saves you a lot of time, because if you want to do it perfectly, you spend so much time, and in the end you find out that what you did was not what the people want. My next tip would be to not care about what other people think. I know that sounds like, if we could just do that, but we do care. But maybe it helps you to take perspective. How much do you remember of what people did? Maybe mistakes they made, and do you actually remember that? No, probably not. Why not? Because you're so focused on yourself and performing, thinking about what other people think of you. And then you forget to think about other people, and the same counts for them. They're concerned with themselves. They're not so much thinking about you. There is an experiment I found quite funny that they conducted in psychology, where they tested this. How much do other people actually remember of our failures? Or maybe they wouldn't even consider that as a failure. So there's this experiment where a team of researchers meet, and one person is asked in this experiment to wear a Britney Spears t-shirt. And no offense, but I guess in the academic world you would say, well, that sounds very, very embarrassing. What happened was that the majority of people did not even notice. Those who did, they forgot very quickly. So stop caring about what other people think. You want to, of course, care about your customers, for example, if you're concerned about your products. But then there's lots of people that you probably also care about that don't like your product. And that is perfectly fine. You cannot please every single person. And how boring would that be? You had to constantly adapt yourself, and you have an idea, you have a skill, a competence, and then you look for those people that want that, and the other people that you don't need to serve everyone. You shouldn't. My next advice, feel the embarrassment. Now you may say, once I got this out, I feel embarrassed. Maybe I made a mistake because I was too quick. So what happens often is that you feel totally embarrassed, and it comes all or nothing again. I screwed it. A friend of mine told me, actually, as I published something, shared something online content, and I made a spelling mistake. And you may say, oh, come on, spelling mistake, not a big deal. But for me, this was embarrassing. Actually, I just posted on the topic of perfectionism, and then someone reminded me or showed me, hey, that previous post, is that one of a perfectionist? Look at your spelling mistake. I don't know, I just forgot a letter in the word psychologist. And as a psychologist was huge. And I didn't want to take that off because I thought, at first I wanted, and then I thought, there's lots of positive feedback on this post. So let's just look at it, feel it. And that is actually my tip. My friend told me, even though I'm a psychologist, she said, Christine, lean in that feeling of embarrassment. Feel it. Start to feel comfortable with it. We will feel embarrassed lots of times, but that means also as we step outside of our comfort zone, a whole new world opens up. My last tip, and that's very dear to me as a psychologist, start to notice what's going on in this little head. You may talk to yourself like you would not talk to your worst enemy. The problem is you don't even notice it. The majority of our thoughts are unconscious, and we have lots of those. And majority of those are negative. Now, if that little guy inside your head keeps talking you down, you feel miserable. What happens is you feel the feeling, but you don't know the thought that triggered that feeling, or you don't pay attention to that thought. So try to pay attention to those thoughts. As you do so, you will notice a lot of this is irrational, it's generalized, and you can dispute it. But you can only dispute it and work through it if you notice it. So being mindful is super important. I actually have a video on mindfulness and the happiest person in the world who is so happy because he's mindful and how to practice that. And I have another video on how to notice those thought patterns that psychologists have identified that we often do not notice. And if you have resolved those, that will give you lots of peace. And if you want more advice on how to understand your mind, your emotions, and see how that affects your behavior and how you can become more successful and happier understanding yourself, then follow me. It would be also super nice because I just started this channel, so every subscriber and every like helps to get these messages out to the public.